Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, the chief content producer and writer of jakestake.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. I'm so thrilled today to welcome this artist to watch, one of my artists to watch from my past, that's been featured on my past Jake's Take with Jake's Take new music reviews. He has over 2.4 thousand Twitter followers, 7.7 thousand Instagram followers, and was featured on the Usher episode of NBC's Songland. Please help me welcome FATHERDUDE.
Hello.
Alrighty, FATHERDUDE. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk with me today.
Absolutely. Glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Jake.
You're so welcome. So let's get started. So how did you come up with the stage name FATHERDUDE?
Well, it's from a TV show that I used to love and still do, called Mystery Science Theater 3000, MST3K. Some people are familiar with it. It got a reboot on Netflix a couple years ago with Patton Oswalt part of it, but they just make fun of old movies. And at one time in one of those episodes, they mentioned FATHERDUDE as a kind of an anecdote to something on screen, and I had to take it. So it's been that way ever since.
Awesome. So now we got that out of the way, and I know Mystery Science Theater, so I've heard of it. So
good.
Yeah. All right. So when did you get interested in music, and how did that passion evolve into desire to pursue a career in the recording industry?
You know what's funny? I just recently, my parents just dug up some old 8mm tapes that kind of shine a light on your, you kind of reflect on what you were like as a child. Sometimes you get these reminders every few years of, you ending up where you kind of always inevitably were going. And there's some of them of me, reluctantly and shy singing. They kind of made me sing at times and stuff. It was always kind of part of me. I always had a talent for singing, but I was very shy about it. It took a long time to kind of find what I wanted to do with the gift of music. So that's, I guess, with things like this, you kind of always love it since you were a kid, and then you just kind of find your way as in how you want to express it. And then, of course, how you want to make it a career. That's a completely different thing. But, as is with a lot of these things, it starts early.
I totally agree. Now, can you please describe your songwriting style with my audience?
Songwriting style. I really prefer to be in the room with producers and musicians so we can create something together from scratch, where they're starting an idea where we've already had time to kind of get to know each other. If we are already working together, then, it's kind of like whatever we're feeling that day, and, how our lives kind of intersect, and usually the vibe kind of leads us to a place where we get to express it and musically. But sometimes I'll write the tracks, but mainly I get to work with producers, which is a really special thing. I grew up playing in bands, which is, the visceral experience of playing with other musicians is incredibly important. And as much as I love how easy it is to make songs and produce songs, in a box today, on the computer, there's a lot of kids out there who are missing the element of, being in the room. And obviously we're talking about in the middle of COVID here. It's kind of hard to be in the room with people, which sucks. But, when it's time, those are the best experiences, because you just feed off of each other. And you got to be honest. That's the main thing for me. I can try to write songs about things that are, that I need to do. I can do that. But when it comes to being an artist, you have to speak truthfully. So however you're feeling, just run with that. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at least you are being honest with yourself in the process.
Alrighty. So many members of my audience know you from your time on NBC Songland. So how did you get that opportunity?
They actually reached out to me. I think they were looking on SoundCloud, and SoundCloud's been a really great platform for me over the years. It's kind of where I got post a few other projects that I've done As far as my foray into electronic music and beyond, it started with SoundCloud. So, I guess they stumbled upon me, and then they reached out, and I submitted some songs, and they liked Billions, and they kept, kind of leading me down the hallway there, and like they liked it. Let's see what happens, and it looked good, and obviously they eventually flew me out, and the rest is kind of history. But it was kind of like a no-brainer. Just it's a good show. It's one of my favorite songs I ever wrote. It was not released. I was holding on to that song for a long time to kind of wait for the right situation for it, and this was that.
And I want to talk about that episode because I love that song Billions, and I've said to you before off camera, but I want to say it to you now. It's probably one of my favorite tracks of 2020.
Wow. Thank you. That's really, really awesome to hear.
And it's seriously, FATHERDUDE. I love the Billions, and I love that song. However, I was looking on the social media, especially the YouTube, when you were posting the video. It's like, it's a shame that Usher did not choose to select to record it, and like the other producers did not select you to move forward. In fact, social media, the YouTube channel fans were not very happy with that decision and said that your song was one of the best out of the four.
Yeah, it was really nice. I mean, and to no discredit to anyone else, those are all really good songwriters and people. But it was nice and validating to, the Twitter poll that night of, like the instant, poll, people chose Billions as the top song, and it didn't make it past the first round. So it really had nothing to do with, and music in general is subjective, and it can mean a lot to me and you, and it can mean nothing to the next person. Or in this case, it was for an artist. We're pitching songs to an artist, and it's not necessarily, indicative of the song being good or bad. It's about the song fitting for this particular artist, which I wrote the song a long time ago. I didn't intend it to be for Usher. I think he would have sounded great on it, but at the end of the day, it was nice to just see that people were, kind of up in arms about it for a second. They're kind of like, oh, he should have at least, given it a shot. I would have loved to have heard him sing it. But it all worked out for the best. So no ill will, no hard feelings.
Awesome. So even though you were eliminated from the show, what lessons did you learn from your time on Songland that helped you with your song, helped you grow as a songwriter and even a performer?
It was something I never thought I would do. I never thought I would do network television style contest, singing thing type of thing. I just have always avoided that. I haven't cared for those types of shows. This one was the best I've ever seen of those style of shows. And it truly is and was. So just the fact that I did it was kind of like its own, like kind of jumped in the water, and I said, let me just do it. What do I have to lose? And if I learned anything, it's that, with anything in life, you keep working, and you don't know what's next. I've been making music for a very, very long time, and I never would have thought that this would have happened, a year ago. Literally, it's more than a year ago. I didn't even speak to, Songland at all, and I just couldn't see it. And I think it just goes to show with anything you do in life, you never know. So it's kind of, as dark as it may get, not to say, any one way or the other, but like, it's a good thing to just keep going, keep showing up, keep doing what you love. And, hopefully there are those good moments there to celebrate. And this was definitely one of them.
Yeah. I also want to let you know, like, I love the song, and like, thank God you released it, but like, we'll get to that later. But like, I was thinking when I was listening to it, this is perfect for Bruno. This is perfect for the weekend.
Yeah. A bunch of people said that, and a bunch of people said Miguel as well. Which, those are, I guess, in the same vein of, musical sound that I can write, and I sound good singing as well. I mean, I would personally love to hear any of those guys do it. I do other songs like that, for them as well. I mean, but it does seem like that's the wheelhouse it would fit in. And kind of Usher, Usher would have killed it. I guess he's doing something a little different. And he's always, kind of riding the current wave, which he's more than capable of doing, and then some. But
absolutely.
This would have been a cool little throwback for him. And the thing about retro sounds, classic sounds, quote unquote, is that classic music, timeless sounding music, which is what which is a lot of the music that I'm influenced by. It just kind of, Motown is never corny. Motown will never be corny. Classic sounding 60s, 50s and 60s, 70s, R&B, soul, pop, things that have a vibe that's just not calculable. It's forever going to have that weight. And when these songs are reminiscent, or like you said, Bruno Mars, Uptown Funk and things like that, when it reminds us of those classic feel, that classic feel, you just kind of, you can't go wrong there. So I hope to write more of these records and, possibly place them with the artists you mentioned.
I totally agree. So one more thing about Billions before we move on. You released Billions and 2 other pieces on the Billions EP. So what was the feedback that you received that you released the recorded version?
The feedback from the EP?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good. I've heard from a bunch of people that they liked the last song on it even the most, which was Do or Die, which I wrote Billions maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago. I wrote Land of Denial maybe a year or so ago. And then Do or Die was kind of like, as we were filming the episode earlier this year, I realized that, I wanted to just have another thing that sounded in that world ready to go in case, whatever. And I just had it ready to package. So I wrote that one pretty recently. And I wrote it in LA and that one has a vibe and it worked. And it was kind of like the quickest, sometimes I worked on Billions for so long and there's so many iterations of it. And, I'm super happy with how, but it's funny how with music and art and things like that, sometimes it's the ones you just kind of just do and they're done and you put it out and people respond to those more than the one you crafted for years, so it was nice to hear each song get and have, touch people differently. Land of Denial is one of my personal favorites, the second song on it. And I have had a lot of people speak to me about, the depth of that song, which I'm very proud of. There's a lot in that song that means a lot to me, and I appreciate people relating to the depth of it. So I think there's something for everybody on that, and I hope that in a 3-song project, it kind of gets within 10 minutes, it kind of gives you a chance to kind of go take a little ride with me, something triumphant, something introspective, and something just at the end of the day, like I said, hopefully timeless.
I agree. So we're going to move on to another EP called Attention Please, because you recently released it. So you teamed up with your longtime collaborators for the Grammy-winning duo Brasstracks. And why did you and Brasstracks decide to release the original song Your Eyes Only and then a cover of Bobby Caldwell's Open Your Eyes?
Well, we've actually been, we've been working on music, like I mentioned before, the SoundCloud era. We've been working on music together for about 5 years. And about a year ago, we were on tour and we decided to work on a proper FATHERDUDE project. We were always, collaborating with each other on each other's projects. As far as like a feature for them, or they would do something for me, blah, blah, blah. But this was like, I wanted Ivan to do a proper, executive producer of, a body of work. And we have created a good amount of work. And this is just the beginning. This is just an intro to it. There is no release date on the rest of the project or how it's going to be released as far as the length of each section of it, but there's a body of work that I'm incredibly proud of. This is more just like the intro to it, as well. And I released something called Nervous which is kind of in the same world. I released that at the end of last year. So these are just like, it's almost like a little taste of what's to come. And we decided to do Attention Please, which was a 2-song, a double single. We've been playing Open Your Eyes, the cover. We've been playing that on the road for a while now. And people would only be able to hear it at shows. And now there's an actual recorded version out there. So that's really cool to finally be able to be, listen to at home when it, you get listening to the videos online. It's just not the same. But it's nice to now be able to, point people to the online streaming of that song. And the intention of Attention Please was always just the intro to this project. But considering all the things that have happened since COVID, including the Black Lives Matter movement and the social justice, being at the forefront of everyone's minds right now, I decided to make it a little bit more weighted than just attention please on me, and more about this movement happening. So I actually included, and if you go to my site and certain places, I included a list of 5 organizations that I thought were worthy of our attention, quote unquote, at the moment, that are affiliated with Black Lives Matter and healthcare and trans rights and voting rights, and it was just a chance to kind of help the situation and shed a little bit of light, and it's and honestly, in even just finding those things, it's educated me, and I hope to just help educate other people, just like I was. We're all trying to learn here. We're all trying to do better. And, little by little, whatever we're doing, if we're moving in the right direction, that's a good thing.
All right. So besides the Brasstracks, who else is on your short list of dream collaborators, such as singers, songwriters, and producers, and how would they enhance your sound?
Oh, wow. It's funny. The question is hard because people might think, and you mentioned the artists that we mentioned before, Bruno Mars and Miguel and people like that. They sound like, I guess I would fit more in that world, but those are not the people that I listen to. Those people probably listen to the influences that I listen to, and that's how we both got to where we're getting. So I actually would prefer to listen, to work with people who are maybe a little left. Somebody I would always love to work with would be Mike Patton, from Faith No More and Mr. Bungle. He's just and a lot of other projects. He'd be a lot of fun to work with. I would be into doing some strange. I'm all over the place. I listen to jazz fusion. There's like a couple of UK jazz fusion things I would love to put vocals on. I'm into 80s pop. I'm into death metal. To name the people that I like in these, it means nothing. The point is, I've always considered FATHERDUDE this thing that is, to quote Frank Zappa, project object, which is a long career's worth of bringing myself into other people's musical worlds. So it's not necessarily one thing or the other. I'm never always going to sound like a certain song that I do. I never thought I would be doing electronic and EDM 5 years ago, which led me to what I'm doing now, which is back to my roots in R&B and soul and stuff. But I came from rock. I came from, doo-wop. There's just so many people and there's so many ways to express yourself musically. And I've never tried to pigeonhole myself, and maybe to my own detriment, I've done that, but it's who I am. And I love the ability to be versatile. So, I'm just down to collaborate with anybody who's really good at what they do. So I guess I'll leave it at that.
All right. So what are your favorite social media platforms? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and so on and so forth. And why do they stand out to you?
I guess on Instagram is probably the easiest way to, because it's video, it's audio visual. So, and it's a little more showy, like presentation style of, your art. Instagram fits best for an artist or creative. So that's, kind of where I center a lot of my stuff. Everything I do is on my website, fatherdude.com. I also mirror all my stuff on Facebook, but I try not to spend too much time on Facebook. But Twitter is kind of where Twitter's interesting because I put everything everywhere, if it's a release. But Twitter is somewhere is so interesting because, you can't help but be in Twitter and kind of develop this persona or this kind of almost repetitive version of yourself. It's strange. Even if it's something you believe in, and even if it becomes you kind of manifest this voice and a personality, and it's not necessarily all of you, but it's kind of blowing up a certain part of you, and like I said, a lot of the social justice issues, a lot of political things, I do join in those conversations on Twitter, or just to joke around. And I hope that people can have the ability to. And you really, social media is so hard to get nuance in. It feels like everybody has to be a certain way all of the time. And it's very, product and brand based. And we're human beings at the end of the day. We aren't products and brands. Some people I know are very good at running themselves like a business, presenting themselves like a business. And in some ways I'm envious of that. But I'm also just a person. And I put out music, but I also have opinions, and I hope that the opinions I have are helpful to some people. They're not detrimental to people, but I'm just going to be honest about, I'm the same person who writes those songs that come from an honest place. So when I speak on social media, it's going to be the same honest voice, that you get in the music. You're going to get, in social media. So, if I can be consistent in any one way, it's being honest, and that's to, good or the bad. The good or the bad, you're gonna get me, and I hope that's that's something that's mainly a positive.
I totally agree about that. You have to be authentic, or otherwise, so why you're on there?
Exactly. I mean, and we see a lot of businesses do very well, curating themselves in a certain way. But I don't think that's why people connect to us as artists. When it comes to musicians and artists and people in that field, they want that. Authenticity is the perfect word for it. They want that. They don't need that from the Wendy's account. They don't care about that. You get the humor and the maybe the coupons. That's not what you get from that, and it's not what you expect from that. But from an artist, you don't want to just see their releases. You want to get to know them a little bit. You want a little, maybe not too much. I also have a very strange, perception of this whole, what is too much? What is giving people too much? Some people are online, social media all the time, and and everybody can walk their own line, and you don't have to watch it if it's bothering you or upsets you. By all means, do what you feel, but do be careful, because your privacy is an important thing, because the moment that it gets turned around on you, it can be a very, very scary thing. So it's just a reminder to especially to younger people, that, just be careful what you put out there. And I have to remind myself of this, and older people. Every human being has to be just aware that not everybody is not everybody is there to support you. There are people out there who might want to exploit you in certain ways. So just be careful, when you do whatever you do online.
All right, this is the second to last question. If you had the opportunity to meet with aspiring artists and musicians who want to advance their career in the recording industry, what advice would you share with them?
I would just say, prepare for the long haul. I've been doing music for, professionally for for a little more than 15 years. And it's been a long ride. And even before that, I was doing it, I would say semi-professionally. But at the end of the day, you just have to constantly reconnect with yourself, remind yourself why you love doing this thing, because it's not always going to give you the instant gratification that we all want. It's not unless you're working at a corporate label, unless you're working at a job where you get, biweekly checks. Music and the entertainment industry is, at least from the artist's perspective, is very all over the place. It's a gig economy style thing. And as we know, the world is upside down right now, at least the one we know. It's so uneven and uneasy. So the only thing you can really control is your own happiness the best you can. And if you love music and you got into it for the reasons that, that are deep within you, and those answers are, your own answers, just try to reconnect with that as much as you can, especially because there's going to be so many frustrating moments. There's going to be so many times where you want to, I won't even say give up, but just kind of like, you question why you got into it. Find the love again. Focus on that. I'm constantly trying to remind myself of, just getting back to what got me to any little bit of successes in the road were all from real places. They were from real collaborations with real musicians and artists. And it wasn't people putting me in a room together. It wasn't this concocted, business decision. It was from real experiences, finding real people, them introducing me to people that were like-minded, and we created this beautiful art together. That's the stuff that you're listening to from me. They're not, nobody threw me in a room with, with the top producers and tried to aim for top 40 radio and put, 500 grand behind my track. Like, you're hearing it because it's literally what happened in my little studio, in my little room, or in studios with people in my city or elsewhere that are built on personal relationships. So all I can say is find and reconnect with the love that you have for your art, and just ride that as far as you can.
All righty. So one final question. I know you mentioned this a lot, but where can my audience find you on social media? And also, where can they download your music?
You can find everything, as far as like the branch on FATHERDUDE.com. I got a really beautiful site a friend of mine did, and it's everything you need to see is on there. As far as a lot of releases that I've done have been features or collaborations. So it's a good place to start as far as like finding my old category, because even in the, and you'll find this with a lot of artists that you love, Spotify may have you attached to certain songs you put out might not be available on certain streaming sites, or they may not be listed properly. Or like me, I was Father Dude as two different words at one time, and now I'm one word, and certain old releases don't get attached to my current releases. So, so what I'm saying is, if you go to FATHERDUDE.com, you'll be able to see the body of work. But I would say, as far as streaming goes, I'm pretty active on Spotify, and I'm aware of what's going on there. But follow me on Instagram, the typical places. I'm everywhere basically that anybody is doing anything as far as social media. Easy to find, easy to talk to. Hit me up. Down to talk shop, down to talk anything. So I'm appreciative when people relate and feel the music, especially like you told me earlier about it being one of your top songs of the year. That really means a lot to me. So by all means, artists love to hear that stuff, especially when it's genuine.
You're so welcome. All righty, guys. Check out more episodes of the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar podcast. Head to Apple Podcasts, to Spotify, to Google Podcasts, and to Spreaker. It's all you got to do is type in the Jake's Take with Jacob Elyachar, JACOB ELYACHAR podcast. And also, if you want to connect with me on social media, head to my Facebook page, my Twitter page, my YouTube page, and also my Instagram page. It's Jacob Elyachar, JACOB ELYACHAR. Once again, JACOB ELYACHAR. To also read my original review of Father Dude, and also listen to more of my interview with one of Father Dude's songwriting friends from Songland, Anna Graceman, head to jakes-take.com. Once again, jakes-take.com. Father Dude, you've been incredible. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to talk with me today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone. Until next time, have a fantastic one.